Hi, everyone. This is Country Music News International. And my name's Nigel Sharpe. And way over there, somewhere in the USA, we're going to find out exactly where in a moment. That's Taylor Rae.
Hey.
Anyway, Taylor, where are you actually at the moment?
I am in Austin, Texas.
Ah, okay.
Mm.
And yes, you are a Texas girl, born and bred.
Actually, no, I was born in Santa Cruz, California.
Okay.
It's like an hour south of San Francisco, right on the coast in the redwoods. Yeah, born and raised there. I moved to Austin about 3 years ago.
Is there any particular reason for the move? Was it a musical one or?
Yeah, definitely a musical one. The live music scene here is a lot more active than the one in
Okay.
Santa Cruz. So, yeah, I love this city too. It's an amazing place to be. I've always loved it for years before I even moved here, so I'm happy to be here now.
Yeah, I've spoken to a few people from Texas recently, and it is actually quite noticeable that there's quite a lot sort of happening in Texas in terms of real live gigs.
Yeah, so many
And
good local artists here and bands. It's less of an industry town too, which I actually love about it, and it's more focused on actual live music. So that's why I chose Austin.
what happens for you then if you're going to be doing some recording? Do you do that in Texas, or do you actually go to Nashville for any of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I go to Nashville. The album we recorded this year was all done in Nashville. I think
Okay.
I've taken 5 or 6 trips out there since the beginning of the year. It's like a 2 hour flight, so it's pretty easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you been out on the road gigging at all, or have you had the chance to sit down and write, or rehearse, practice, do
Mm.
stuff like that?
All of the above. At the very beginning of the pandemic, obviously everything was canceled pretty much for the whole year. So that was pretty rough. It took me a long time to kind of pivot my goals and like what I was doing. So once I got over the initial shock of like losing all of my gigs and all my income, because at that point I was a full time performer.
Right.
So that's how I was making a living. Just not just doing solo like my original songs, but I was tons of weddings and corporate events and
Right.
just that kind of stuff. So that was all canceled. That was really hard to get through the first 6 months. It was incredibly scary and just yeah, unstable. And then towards the end of 2020, I kind of changed my mindset and decided to go full dive into recording an album. And that's what I've been doing this whole year. And even as gigs have like started to come back over the summer, yeah, my mind and my heart is totally somewhere else now. So
Hmm.
it's kind of funny. The album comes out in less than a month now, and I feel like
Yeah.
it's been building up so much. So I'm excited to start playing more shows once it's out. Yeah, kind of transition back into that lifestyle.
What about videos for the new songs from the new album?
Yeah, so we released 2 singles with 2 music videos. Those were both shot in Nashville too. That was really fun. I've never recorded or I've never like done any music videos before like that. So that was definitely a highlight of the year, both of those videos. Yeah, the Fixer Upper and Home on the Road video.
Yeah.
Get both out.
I've noticed quite a number of artists have released a lot of these kind of lyrics videos. They've become very popular over the
Yeah,
last kind of year because you don't have to worry about, social distancing and
right.
avoiding people and stuff. So that's
Yeah.
been quite good.
And that's why so much new music is coming out this year, which is really awesome. Um, yeah, I mean, there's nothing like a depressing time in your life to write a million songs, you know?
That's right. Yeah.
So, yeah,
All those breaking up songs and what have you.
totally.
Yeah. I mean, also, for an old timer like me, I've been listening to country music for a long time
Mhm.
and playing it for a long time too. Do you take, inspiration from other artists from, past years, say the 90s or the 80s or even before that? Or
Mhm.
do you see yourself as I'm one of the new breed and I do what I do?
Um, I don't think that I directly draw inspiration when I'm writing, but I do think like in my final products you can hear where my influences are.
Right.
I don't necessarily listen to an artist and like I'm going to do an album like that or I'm going to write a song that's similar to this song. But you end up hearing the influences for sure, and I oftentimes get a lot of 70s artists. Yeah, people reference Linda Ronstadt, Carole King,
Yeah.
and then more recently, like Norah Jones and Sheryl Crow. So it has Bonnie Raitt. Yeah, it has a lot of sounds going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you mentioned Bonnie Raitt, who I've had the good fortune to see live over here in Frankfurt, and of course that's very blues influenced. And and listening to your material, it definitely has that kind of blues feel to it. In your voice as well as in the actual music. That was actually really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. So with your new album,
Mhm.
have you got anything particular planned for the release? Any?
Yeah, I'm doing a few different showcases or album release parties. The first one in Nashville, actually 2 weeks from today. Um, we're having like an album release party there, and then I'm gonna have one in Austin. Still undecided on the venue, and then in November I'm gonna go back to my hometown of Santa Cruz, California, and
Okay.
do a huge party there at like my favorite venue in Santa Cruz. I have a local band opening for me who's super awesome. My full band is going to be there too, guys that I've been playing with for almost 10 years now. So yeah, that's what I'm most excited about, I think, in terms of the release and celebrating it.
So, are you actually a? Do you actually play an instrument of any kind, or are you just a straight out and out singer?
Oh yeah, I play the guitar.
Good.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm always relieved to hear that's my main
Yeah.
instrument. So
Yeah, no, that's what I've been playing for almost over 15 years, I guess. I taught
yeah,
myself when I was 12. I'm 27, so yeah. Yeah, it's my favorite
yeah.
thing to
I started at 12 as well.
do. Nice.
My elder brother got a guitar for a birthday present.
Awesome.
I think he learned one chord
Yeah,
and rushed over to me and said, "Hey, this is fantastic! You've got to try this, man. This is the best instrument ever."
totally.
So this guitar was like the worst guitar ever with an action on it. It must have been like about an inch,
Oh my gosh.
strings from to the net to the fretboard.
Oh
And it was
man.
the most painful thing I'd ever done, trying to push these strings down onto the fretboard. But there was something about it. It was this kind of direct kind of bodily contact,
Yep.
with you and the instrument and what
Mhm.
you did with your fingers and your hands. That's what determined what came out of the instrument. And I love
So
that.
cool. It
So
becomes like an obsession at that age when you're just starting to learn.
yeah. And
Yeah.
I just, I got my own guitar and, you just sit down and play every day.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
I chucked in all the other instruments. I used to play in the school orchestra and all that kind of stuff.
Cool.
And the only other thing that I kept going, and I wonder whether it was the same for you, was singing.
Mm.
And I mean, I used to sing in church choirs. I mean, that's
Mhm.
where I started in terms of music, was
Yep.
singing in church. So you don't have to be in church, but when did you actually start singing and how did that come about?
I started singing before I could talk. It was just kind of always what I did. I don't remember there ever being a point where I was like choosing music as a career path, as a life path. It was always just like, I am a singer and that's what I'm going to do with my life. And I think I got put in vocal lessons at 6, and I was doing musical theater at 7, singing in church. Like I was always singing somewhere on stage, like wanted to be on stage, singing for my family when they would come over. It was just like, it's just who I am, more so than even like what I do as, for a living. It's like, it's always been who I am. So I can't really remember when I started, but it's always been there.
I mean, do you find it easy to write?
The only method I have is to not force it. As soon as I start forcing it or trying, like that's where it really, really takes a turn for the worse, and I end up hating everything that I write. So yeah, all of my initial ideas come from just whatever moment I'm in, whether, I'm out in public somewhere or I'm like working on something else at home, like pick up my phone, open up the record app thing, or like pick up my guitar and just start playing something. Kind of have a baseline of lyrics that's kind of gibberish at that point. And then I'll go back when I'm feeling inspired, and I'll type out all the lyrics I have, all the ideas, and then I'll kind of start to piece them together. Right. And like work on a flow of the song and structure.
And do you collaborate with anyone when you're writing, or do you like to keep it, to yourself?
I'm definitely open to collaborating. The only collaborating that I have done has been like the co-writes in Nashville. And I personally have a really hard time doing that because, again, like walking into a room and just, sitting down with people and like, okay, today we're writing a song about this, or for this artist, it needs to be about this. It needs to sound like this. I'm like, I can't do that. So I can't force anything. So that's why I kind of stay away from co-writes like that. If it was like a natural environment and I'm, sitting around jamming with some friends and like something comes up, so love to do that. Yeah. Love that. But most of the time it's just me.
I guess I better bring this to a close by saying thanks very much for...
Oh, thank you so much, Nigel. This was great.
Yeah, we really appreciate that you take the time to join us with these little. They're not really interviews. I'm the world's worst interviewer, but I love just talking to other musicians. I just like a conversation. So.
Yeah.
So this has been Country Music News International. My name's Nigel Sharpe. That's Taylor Rae over there, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that she's going to come and visit us as soon as possible. That's right.
Definitely.
Wherever you are, unless it's kind of deep in the depths of Poland in the middle of the winter.
Yeah, that's probably not going to happen.
I'll be there to come and see you play.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Nigel.
Thank you too. You take care. Bye. Thanks.